Welcome to another Jocz Productions video. Today we're going to take a look at a very important moment in American history, SHAYS Rebellion. And this story really kind of begins in the post-American Revolutionary period. Remember 1783, the Treaty of Paris, we're feeling good, we're free, we're independent. But things aren't going so well under the Articles of Confederation. Remember, it was a weak national government, and economically, there was a storm brewing. The Articles couldn't tax. States had their own currency. Interest on the debt was increasing, and some states were levying taxes, duties on other states, and it was a big mess. And throughout the country, these economic hard times were being felt, but more so in this area of Western Massachusetts. And in Western Massachusetts, things were particularly bad. Many people were losing their farms and their homes to foreclosure. They were going to jail for debt imprisonment. Taxes were extraordinarily costly for these farmers. And things weren't going very well, and there's a lot of tension building up. And one guy kind of assumes leadership of this growing movement, and that, of course, is our brother Daniel. Daniel SHAYS. Daniel SHAYS, the guy on the left, this is kind of one artist depiction of him. He was a veteran of the American Revolution. He fought for freedom against the British. He served the military. And he gets back from the war, and basically he gets hit with these kind of unpaid loans that the collectors want him to pay. And he's returning from the war, and he's discovering that many of his fellow veterans and farmers in Western Massachusetts are experiencing similar difficulties financially. And so the farmers under Daniel SHAYS begin to organize. Regulators! Mount up! And these farmers in the backcountry, in the western part of the state, way far away from Boston, begin to petition the legislator. The legislator was in Boston for assistance. They start asking, can you print paper money to relieve the debt? Print paper money, lighten the taxes, suspend the property takeovers, suspend the foreclosures. And they keep sending petitions to the eastern part of the state and in Boston, and they're being ignored. And their petitions and their proposals continue to be ignored, and there's this growing resentment that starts to develop. And in 1786, these farmers, led by Daniel SHAYS, begin to decide, you know what, the state legislator's not doing anything. They adjourn without actually considering any of their many petitions that had been sent to them, and so these hundreds and hundreds of protesters begin to get some weapons. And this, of course, is known as SHAYS Rebellion, because they say, they feel that they are being unfairly taxed by a distant government way over in Boston, and these tyrants, as they see them, are no different than the British tyrants many of them had fought against during the American Revolution. This feels like some Stamp Act Part 2. We're being taxed by a distant government, and they really... People like Daniel SHAYS take the words of the Declaration of Independence really literally. And what Jefferson said was, if the government is not responding to your needs and your request, and they can't help you, you have the right to rebel. And these farmers in 1786, 1787 say, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to take a stand. Take a stand. Everybody. And they take a stand. In fact, they prevent successfully the courts from going into session. They are armed with guns, and they start making plans to march on the arsenal and get more guns. This is a populist revolt. This is a mass revolt of people in the backcountry in the western part of Massachusetts, and they're angry. And they want the government to do something to relieve their struggles. So you have this mass protest. If you're thinking this is going to be one of those, underdog stories where the farmers rise up and succeed, unfortunately, this story doesn't end that way, if that's what you were hoping for. The outcome, you could see on the map kind of the areas where SHAY and his followers attacked the courts or, put pressure on the government, and you could see in the green where SHAY and the government forces came to a meeting. Now, if you're thinking the Articles of Confederation, the federal government stopped this rebellion, you're wrong. They were weak. In fact, this rebellion reveals that there is a tension brewing between the backcountry and the Eastern elite. And for those of you in APUSH, kind of, it'd be interesting to compare this to Bacon's rebellion during the colonial period or whiskey rebellions in the 1790s. There's these similarities and differences here. Another thing that this rebellion kind of reveals is the rebellion has to be put down by a privately funded militia. The Articles of Confederation isn't able to raise an army, and the Massachusetts legislator actually has to get people to donate, private individuals to donate to kind of crush this rebellion, and they do. A few of Shay's followers are killed, I think 2 or 3. One is wounded. Daniel Shay himself is arrested and sentenced to death, but then he's later pardoned. But the fear created by Shay's rebellion is real. The people, the wealthy, the property classes are really worried that the Articles of Confederation is showing its weaknesses. That the Articles of Confederation is showing its weaknesses, and there begins to be increased. They're already, but it increases calls for a stronger national government. The wealthy are concerned. Shay and the populist uprising that he represents strikes fear in these individuals. And of course, eventually they'll have the Annapolis Convention, and then eventually the Constitutional Convention in 1787 in Philadelphia, which will overthrow the Articles of Confederation and replace it with a much stronger federal government under the Constitution. That's all we have for Shay's Rebellion. And of course, please subscribe to Jocz Productions if you haven't already done so. Tell like 10 people. Make it like your life's mission. And if you liked the video and if you liked any of the videos, hit that little thumbs up sign right there. Give me some love, post a comment, and peace!